Hello out there in our world of crypto. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what's the difference between a digital asset and an encrypted asset. What is Bitcoin? What are cryptocurrencies? Are they digital or are they encrypted? I know I'm watching a lot of videos and so forth and receiving a lot of news from different sources, and they always refer to both sides as being digital and or being encrypted or virtual. What is it? What are they? And what's the difference? Stay tuned and we'll talk about that right now. So let's talk a little bit today with my team here and us at DeFi IoT Latin America about the difference between an encrypted currency and a digitized currency. It's simple, actually. There's some similarities there, but there's a lot of differences as well. And I think we need to understand that because one is much more secure than the other. Digital assets, we know, like when you take your credit card and you go to the store and you swipe your card, you're not giving an actual currency. There's no actual transaction. You're peer-to-peer, yes, but your transaction's not necessarily peer-to-peer. You're swiping it through a machine, and that transaction, there's confidence that somebody, intermediary, is going to deposit that money in that store's bank account, for example, or in that person who's giving you, and you're receiving the money in their bank account, or whether their system is of accounts receivable. That's a digital asset. Digital assets also are much more controllable, and usually digital assets are based on a software system that is controlled by the organization or the entity or the group of entities that come together, such as the banking industry. They all have digital. We send money from, for example, from Europe to the United States or from the United States to Latin America. We're not sending cash. And I always used to wonder, well, how in the world does that cash get there? I have to wait for that cash to get there? Well, it doesn't ever leave. You give the cash where it's at, and that cash never leaves. It's just a set of books and ledgers that change out in this software. And that brings us back to centralization of the banks. This is why 12 years ago, Satoshi created this idea of Bitcoin to get us off the centralization idea and to get us into a currency that was encrypted and in a way not hackable and safer and more secure, and get rid of that middleman, because that middleman at any point in time can also say, no, we think that's fraudulent. No, we don't like that, and deny you. How many times I had to make a large transaction, I had to call the bank first. They say it's for my security, yet they can always just call me or text me and say, hey, did you make this transaction? Okay, yeah, I can appreciate that. But then to simply block a transaction, which happened to me many times, and sometimes block my card. I was traveling sometimes and my card got blocked. And so luckily I had more than one card, but that made things difficult for me. That's digital assets. And digital assets is much more controllable. It is based off a software program. And that software program is controlled by the centralized company or industry that actually created the software. So digital assets are not cryptocurrencies, contrary to what many people say. Cryptocurrencies are a virtual asset and they're encrypted. In other words, they're not just codified in a simpler code as a software. They're encrypted and codified that only a quantum computer could even penetrate and decipher. So the digital assets are much easier to decipher, if you will, and cryptocurrencies are not able to be deciphered. Now, are they transparent? Both of them. One is more transparent than the other. The digital asset is only transparent within this network, the system of who owns that software or who actually is transacting or permitted to use that software. That's the only place it's actually transparent. In cryptocurrencies, it's more transparent in the fact that you don't necessarily know who it came from or who it went to, but you can see where it left from, in other words, an account. Then you see the encryption where it ends. So you and that person on peer-to-peer, you have that proof that, okay, you got it, I got it, because they have the wallet, you have your wallet. Now there's two sets of keys. You have your public keys and your private keys. Your public keys will make it transparent. And you can always reverse that and go back and check it, because those blocks, which are being confirmed by proof of work. That's why I love proof of work so much versus staking. I love proof of work because it's confirmed. And I think we need that. We need that confirmation to maintain decentralization. If once we centralize it, when we go staking with everything, we're more centralizing, and we're actually taking away that actual ability for the cryptocurrency to actually float and be judged by us, the global community. Look at what happened with the NFTs on, where was it? It was on OpenSea. OpenSea this last week that there was an employee of OpenSea apparently were buying these NFTs before they actually went public and then reselling them. Well, it was people like us that noticed that and notified OpenSea, and they investigated it and found that it was true. Now they've established more criteria for their employees that they can't do that. Now that's not breaking the law because it's not a law, at least yet, in the world of crypto. I know people are saying, well, yeah, we need some regulation. Well, maybe we need some basic regulation, but that's opening Pandora's box as far as I'm concerned. I'd rather see us as the world regulate like just took place at OpenSea. And they got fixed, and that person got corrected. So we're going to see more of this. And I think we can maintain decentralized and protect ourselves in an encrypted currency. So an encrypted currency is nothing more than this, in summary. It is a bunch of codes that are almost impossible, up to this point, impossible to decipher. You hear of, well, there's been hacks. Well, there have been hacks in the actual cryptocurrency. There's been hacks on platforms where people have their currencies parked and they steal their currencies from them, right? So it's a little bit different. Some people go back and say, well, Bitcoin in its inception has some problems. Yeah, but that wasn't really a true hacking in the sense that we know it today. So cryptocurrencies are much more secure. They're much in depth with code, and they're transparent to us, the public. Where digital are governed by the governments or banks or the industry, mostly those two entities, or an industry that creates this digital software. And only they can actually see and decipher if that transaction took place, got to point A, or got to point B. How many times we made a transaction and we got charged for it, and yet the store said that they never got credit for it. So we didn't get it. We have to go back to this intermediary. They got to look in their systems, look it up, and they tell us whether, yes, it did or didn't take place. Yeah, we know our bank account got charged for it. There's been times that I had to fight it, wait for a month, 2 months, finally get my money back. Well, in cryptocurrencies, it's much different. Cryptocurrencies are the world. We can govern that in the blockchains. And once they're set, they are set. And once the rules are, I make a payment, I buy it, it's mine, and you send it. Now, if they don't send it, obviously you can go online and you can bash that person if you would. I'm not suggesting you bash people. I'm just using that for a terminology. But we have a way to control things much better, and it's much more protected in encryption. So in summary, cryptocurrency is encrypted, not digital. Remember that.